I still remember the exact second my heartbeat changed. It was 2:17 a.m. in the ICU break room. And the only sound was the low hum of the vending machine and the distant beeping of monitors that never really stop. I had just come out of a 14-hour shift. My legs felt heavy. My eyes burned. My brain was running on caffeine and muscle memory. I opened my banking app with one simple intention: to check if my salary had been credited. That's all I wanted. One small relief at the end of a long night. Instead, I saw a number that made my stomach drop so fast it felt like I was falling. $9,540, charged, for a few seconds. I didn't understand what I was looking at. I blinked twice. I rubbed my eyes. I even closed the app and opened it again, like maybe the number would disappear if I gave it a moment. It didn't. $9,540. I whispered, "No? This is wrong. My rent was $1,200. I barely spent money on myself. I packed lunch for work. I reused the same shoes until the soles complained. I lived carefully. I tracked every expense. I was the kind of person who checked prices before buying toothpaste. So how could this happen?" My thumb trembled as I tapped the transaction details, and that's when the air left my lungs. Airline tickets, luxury resort bookings, beach activities, spa reservations, all booked within 2 days, and every single booking had the same names attached. My mother.my, stepfather.my, sister.my, cousin.my. Aunt, not me. I wasn't even part of the trip. I scrolled up to my chat history with my mom. 3 weeks ago, I had asked, "What are the flight prices?" She had replied, "Flights are $1,450 each. If you cannot afford it, stay behind." So I stayed behind because I couldn't afford it, because I thought she was being honest, because I thought family doesn't lie about money. But now I was staring at proof that not only had they gone on the trip, they had gone using my card. My hands started shaking so badly I had to put the phone on the table. I felt something very strange inside me. Not anger. Not sadness. Something colder. Something quieter. A feeling that said, "This is not new. This is just the first time you noticed." I called my mom. She picked up on the third ring, her voice bright and relaxed. I could hear waves in the background, laughter, music. They were still there, enjoying the vacation. "Rosie, why are you calling so late?" "Late for me. Afternoon for them, Mom," I said slowly. "Did you use my credit card?" Silence. A pause that stretched too long, then she laughed lightly. "Don't be dramatic, Rosie. We needed to confirm the booking. I thought I told you. You told me flights were $1,450 and to stay behind if I couldn't afford it." "Yes, and you stayed behind. So what's the problem?" "The problem." I swallowed hard. "You charged $9,540 to my card." Another pause. Then she said, very casually, "Oh, that. We thought you wouldn't mind helping the family. You earn well." "I earn well. I work night shifts where people fight for breath. I skip meals. I miss birthdays and holidays. I sleep when the world is awake and wake when the world is asleep." And she called that earning well. "You didn't ask me," I said. "We're family, Rosie. Why are you talking like a stranger?" "Because strangers don't take your card and go on vacation." I wanted to say it, but my voice didn't cooperate. I felt like I was talking to someone I didn't recognize. I said one sentence. "Okay, Mom. Enjoy your trip." Then I hung up. I didn't cry. I didn't shout. I didn't even feel angry. I just felt awake, wide awake in a way I had never been before. I opened my laptop. I logged into my credit card account, and I started downloading every transaction from the last 3 years. At first, I didn't know why. I just felt like I needed to see everything. Every line. Every date. Every amount. Within 30 minutes. My stomach felt like it had been tied into a knot. This wasn't just $9,540. This was a pattern restaurant. Bills in cities I had never visited, online. Shopping from brands my sister loved, fuel charges from my stepfather's town, hotel bookings. During family events where I had attended as a guest, charges. Labeled, temporary hold, urgent booking. Will send later. And never sent later. I opened an Excel sheet. I named it Family Expenses, Detailed Record Date. Merchant. Amount. Who used it. Notes. I started filling it like I was charting a patient's case history, precise. Calm. Methodical. By 7 a.m. The total was $27,860. I leaned back in my chair and stared at the number. "So this is what love cost me," I whispered, and for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the daughter. I felt like an auditor. I felt like someone who had been asleep for years and had just opened her eyes. I didn't go to sleep after my shift. I didn't feel tired anymore. I started taking screenshots, booking confirmations, chat messages where they asked for my card, dates where I was clearly on hospital duty while charges were happening miles away. Google location history showing I was at work. Evidence, not for anger, for clarity. By evening, I had a 14-page document. At the top, I wrote, statement of unauthorized family transactions. At the bottom. I wrote, total due, $27,860. Plus recent vacation charges, $9,540. Grand total, $37,400. Then I added one line, please return this amount within 14 days before I proceed legally. I stared at the screen for a long time. My finger hovered over the send button. They thought I was emotional. They thought I would feel guilty. They thought I wouldn't notice. They had no idea what happens when an ICU nurse treats a problem like a case file. I sent the email. To my mother.cc to everyone on that trip. Then I turned off my phone, and I slept deeply, peacefully, because I knew something they didn't. When they woke up, their vacation would be over, and this story would truly begin. I woke up after 4 hours of sleep feeling lighter than I had in months. For the first time, my mind wasn't racing. There was no emotional storm inside me. No panic. No guilt. No fear. Just a strange, steady calm. I made coffee and turned my phone back on. It didn't even get the chance to fully connect to the network before it started vibrating in my hand, and missed calls. 23 of them, messages stacked one after another. Mom, sister, aunt, cousin, even my stepfather, who never called me unless he needed something. I didn't open any of them immediately. I placed the phone on the table and took a slow sip of coffee. I had seen this behavior in the ICU before. When a patient's condition suddenly changes, everyone panics. Voices rise. People rush. But the nurse? The nurse moves slowly, carefully, with control, because panic doesn't solve anything, documentation does. I opened the first message. It was from my mom. Rosie, what is this email? Are you out of your mind? Next message, call me immediately. Next, how can you accuse your own family like this? Then my sister, are you serious right now? This is embarrassing. My aunt, you've insulted all of us with this nonsense. I smiled faintly, not because it was funny, because it was predictable. Not a single message said, let's talk about this. Every message said, how dare you? They weren't shocked about the charges, they were shocked that I noticed. My phone rang again. Mom, this time? I answered. Her voice was not cheerful anymore. She sounded angry. Offended. Loud. What is this drama you created, Rosie? Sending emails like a lawyer? Have you lost your mind? I spoke calmly. Did you read the document? This is not about the document. This is about respect. You humiliated us. I paused. Did you read the document, Mom? She didn't answer. Instead she said, you're acting like we robbed you. I didn't raise my voice. Did you or did you not use my card without asking? She sighed loudly. We are family. Why are you talking like this? We've always used each other's things. Then why did you tell me to stay behind because I couldn't afford the flight? Silence. I could almost hear her thinking. Then she changed direction. You earn well. We thought you were helping. Why make it ugly? I closed my eyes for a moment. This was the part one had never seen before. The way they turned taking into helping, the way they turned using into sharing, the way they turned theft into love. I'm not making it ugly, I said. I'm making it clear. She scoffed. You're threatening us with legal action? I'm asking for my money back. She went quiet again. Then she said something that hurt more than anything else. You've changed, Rosie. This job has made you hard. No. Mom, this job made me observant. This job made me notice what's wrong before it becomes fatal. I haven't changed, I said softly. I just started looking. She hung up on me. I expected to feel bad. I didn't. I went back to my laptop and added a new column in the Excel sheet. Column F. Reaction after being confronted. Mom, denial and anger. Sister, embarrassment and outrage. And accusation. Stepfather, silence. I didn't know why I was doing it, but it felt important. By afternoon, a family WhatsApp group I had muted years ago suddenly became very active. Messages were flying. She's overreacting. This is a misunderstanding. She always had a problem with money. ICU nurses earn a lot. What's the issue? I read every single message without replying. Then my cousin sent something that made me sit up straight. A screenshot. It was from 3 years ago. A message from my mom to him. Ask Rosie for her card. Say it's urgent. She won't say no. My heart started beating faster. I scrolled up in the chat. More screenshots, different dates, different family members, same pattern. Use Rosie's card. Tell her we'll return later. Don't tell her the full amount. My cousin had sent it privately to me. He wrote, I think you should see this. I didn't realize it was this bad. I stared at the screen for a long time. This wasn't careless behavior. This was planned, repeated, discussed, normalized, and I had no idea. I replied to him. Do you have more? He said, yes. That evening, he sent me 27 screenshots from old chats, proof that my card wasn't a convenience. It was a strategy. I Added every screenshot to my document, page 15. Page 16. Page 17. Each one made the story clearer. I wasn't the daughter. I was the family wallet, and the moment the wallet spoke, everyone got angry. That night, my sister called. She didn't shout, she tried a different approach. Rosie, why are you doing this? People make mistakes. You're making it a big deal. I asked her one question: how many times did you use my card without telling me the real amount? She went quiet, then she said, I don't remember. I do, I said. I have the numbers. She sighed. Okay, fine. Maybe we should have told you. But sending this email to everyone? That was too much. I realized something very important in that moment. They weren't upset about what they did, they were upset that it was now visible, that it had been written, documented, counted. Truth, when spoken, can be argued. Truth, when written with proof, becomes very uncomfortable. Return the money, I said calmly. That's all I want. She said something that made me laugh for the first time in 2 days. Rosie, do you even realize how big that amount is? Yes, I said. I paid it. She had no reply. After the call ended, I sat on my couch in silence. I thought about all the years I believed I was the lucky one. The stable one. The responsible one. The one who could help everyone. I thought I was being a good daughter. A good sister. A good family member. But now I realized something painful. I was only good as long as I didn't ask questions. The moment I asked for accountability, I became the villain. That night, I didn't feel sad. I felt educated, like someone had finally shown me a truth I had been blind to my whole life, and I knew something they didn't. They thought this was about money. They thought if they argued enough, shouted enough, emotionally pressured me enough, I would back down. They didn't understand. This was no longer about money. This was about respect, and respect, once lost, is very expensive to buy back. I opened my laptop again and added one more page to the document, title, Behavioral Pattern. After confrontation, because this wasn't just a financial case anymore, this was a psychological one. And I was documenting everything, very carefully, very quietly, very patiently, because I knew the real pressure hadn't even started yet. By the third day, the noise stopped. No more angry calls. No more emotional messages. No more accusations in the family group. Silence, the kind of silence that doesn't mean peace, the kind that means discussion is happening somewhere else, without you. I had seen this before in the ICU too. When relatives step out of the room to talk privately, it usually means they're deciding what story to agree on before coming back. I knew they were doing the same thing now, agreeing on a version of events where I was unreasonable, where I was dramatic, where I had misunderstood everything, and where they were innocent. I went to work that night feeling strangely focused. My mind wasn't distracted. My hands moved automatically as I checked vitals, adjusted drips, comforted patients. But somewhere inside me, a quiet observer was awake, watching everything from a distance. Around 3 a.m., during a short break, my phone buzzed. A message from my stepfather. He never messaged me directly. Ever. Rosie, we need to talk like adults. This has gone too far. I stared at the screen for a few seconds. Like adults. I replied, I agree. Adults return what they take. He called immediately. His tone was calm, controlled, different from my mom's anger. Rosie, listen. This is being blown out of proportion. You know how families are. We share things. I didn't interrupt. He continued, your mother is very upset. She hasn't slept. She feels insulted. You could have talked to us privately. I did talk privately, I said. When I asked about the flight price, he ignored that. We always considered your card as part of the family resources. You never objected before. That sentence stayed in my mind. Part of the family resources, not Rosie's earnings, not Rosie's hard work. A resource, like electricity, like water, something available, something to be used. You never asked, I said. He sighed. Because we thought you trusted us. Trust, such a beautiful word when used correctly, such a dangerous one when misused. I did trust you, I replied. That's why this document exists. He paused, then he tried a different angle. Are you really planning to go legal over this? I spoke very calmly. I'm planning to recover what is mine. How that happens depends on you. He went quiet, then he said something that revealed more than he realized. Do you know how bad this will look for the family if this goes outside? There it was, not guilt, not apology, reputation. I said, do you know how bad it looked for me when I couldn't afford the trip you booked on my card? He didn't answer. The call ended shortly after, but now something had become very clear to me. They were scared, not because they were wrong, but because they were exposed. That afternoon, my cousin called again. His voice sounded nervous. Rosie, they're having meetings about this. Meetings? Yes. At your mom's house. Everyone is there. They're trying to figure out what to do. I leaned back in my chair. What are they saying? He hesitated. They think you're bluffing. They think you won't actually do anything. I smiled. They also think you're being influenced by someone. Like a friend or a colleague. They don't believe you came up with this on your own. That made me laugh softly. They still didn't understand me. They still thought I was emotional, impulsive, dramatic. They had no idea that I had built this case with the same patience I used to monitor a critical patient for hours without missing a single change. I came up with this on my own, I said. Tell them that. He lowered his voice. Rosie, they're also trying to say you allowed all this. That you knew. I wasn't surprised. When facts don't work, people create a new story. I have proof I didn't, I replied. He said, I know. That's why I sent you those screenshots. That's when I realized something important. Not everyone in the family was the same. Some were uncomfortable, some were guilty, some were just afraid. That evening, I received an email from my mom. Subject: This has gone too far. I opened it slowly. It was long. Emotional. Dramatic. She wrote about how she raised me. How she sacrificed for me. How I had forgotten my roots. How money had changed me. How family should never be treated like strangers. How sending that document was like slapping everyone in the face. I read the entire email twice. Not once in that whole message did she say, "We're sorry." Not once did she say, "We shouldn't have used your card." Instead, the entire email was about how I had hurt them. I opened my document, page 22. I added the email there, under a new section. Emotional deflection instead of accountability. I wasn't doing this out of anger. I was doing this because I wanted a complete record of what was happening, because someday, someone would ask, why did Rosie go this far? And I would have the answer. I in writing. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about something that had never bothered me before. All those times I paid for dinners, all those times I bought gifts, all those times I helped without being asked. I used to feel proud. Now I felt something else, used, not because I helped, but because they expected it. And the moment I stopped being a silent provider, I became a problem. The next morning, my sister sent me a message. We've decided to come back early from the trip. I read it twice. They were cutting their vacation short, not because they felt bad, because they felt pressure. She added, "We will talk face to face. This cannot be discussed like this." I replied with one line, "Bring the money." She didn't respond. I went to work that day with a strange sense of anticipation. For the first time, I knew something important. They weren't ignoring this anymore. They were coming, and when people who are used to taking suddenly have to explain themselves, that's when the real truth comes out. I came home after my shift and found another message from my cousin. "They're planning what to say to you." I asked, "What do you mean?" "They're deciding who will talk first. What version of events to present. They're trying to make sure everyone says the same thing." I smiled slowly. They were preparing a script. They didn't know they were about to meet someone who had already written the entire report, and unlike them, I had evidence, very quiet, very detailed, very undeniable evidence. I closed my laptop and sat in silence for a long time. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't scared. I was ready, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't walking into a family conversation as a daughter. I was walking in as someone who finally knew her own worth, and I knew something they didn't. This meeting they were planning, it wasn't going to go the way they expected. They arrived on a Sunday afternoon, all of them. My mother, my stepfather, my sister, my aunt. No smiles, no greetings, no warmth, just stiff faces and forced seriousness. Like they were attending a formal meeting instead of visiting their own daughter's apartment. I didn't invite them to sit. Immediately. I let the silence sit first, because silence has a way of making people uncomfortable enough to speak without thinking. My mom broke it first. "Rosie, what is all this? Why are you behaving like this?" I gestured toward the dining table. On it were printed copies of the entire document. All 27 pages. Arranged neatly. Highlighted. Tabbed. They all looked at it, then at me, then back at the papers. My stepfather tried to sound calm. "What is the need for all this paperwork? We're here to talk." "We are talking," I said. "This is the topic." They slowly sat down. No one touched the papers. No one flipped a page, because they already knew what was inside. My sister spoke next. "You're making it look like we committed a crime." I looked at her. "Did you or did you not use my card without telling me the real amounts?" She looked away. My aunt jumped in. "Rosie, families don't keep accounts like this." I replied quietly. "Families also don't hide charges like this." My mom sighed loudly, like she was tired of the conversation before it even began. "Fine," she said. "Maybe mistakes were made. But this amount you wrote here? $37,400? This is exaggerated." I slid one paper toward her. A highlighted section, date, merchant, amount, screenshot. "Which part is exaggerated?" I asked. She didn't answer. Instead, she tried a different approach. "You should have told us earlier if you had a problem." I felt something inside me settle into clarity. "I didn't know earlier," I said. "That's the point." My stepfather picked up one page finally. He looked at it for a few seconds. then placed it back down. This is very insulting. Rosie, you're treating us like strangers. I nodded slowly. That's how I was treated when my card was used without asking. The room went quiet. You could feel the tension pressing into the walls. Then my sister said something that surprised even me. Okay, let's say this happened. Why didn't you just ask nicely for the money instead of sending that email to everyone? I stared at her. I did ask nicely, I said. 3 weeks ago, when I asked about the flight price. She had no reply. My mom's voice softened a little. Rosie, you know we don't have this kind of money lying around. You earn well. We thought you wouldn't mind. There it was again. We thought you wouldn't mind. Not once did they say we were wrong. They were still explaining why it was reasonable to use me. I do mind, I said gently. That's why we're here. My aunt leaned forward. What do you want now? I answered without hesitation, my money back. They all exchanged looks, the kind of look people share when they realize the situation is serious. My stepfather cleared his throat. We can't arrange this amount immediately. I gave 14 days, I said. My mom's voice got emotional. So you will take us to court? Your own family? I looked at her for a long moment. I'm asking you to return what is mine. You're the ones turning this into something else. She shook her head. You've changed so much. No, I said softly. I just stopped being blind. That sentence made the room go very still for a few seconds. No one spoke. Then something unexpected happened. My cousin walked in. He had come separately, and he was holding a folder. He placed it on the table. I think everyone should see this, he said. My mom looked confused. What is this? He opened the folder, printed screenshots, the same ones he had sent me, messages from years ago. Ask Rosie for her card. Don't tell her the full amount. She won't say no. The color drained from my mom's face. My sister stared at the table. My aunt stopped talking completely. My stepfather didn't say a word, because now this wasn't Rosie's claim, this was their own messages, their own words, their own planning. My cousin spoke calmly. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was a pattern. No one could argue, there was nothing to twist, nothing to reinterpret. It was all written. I watched their faces change, not from anger, not from guilt, from realization. They finally understood something. I wasn't bluffing. I wasn't emotional. I wasn't confused. I was right, and I had proof. My mom's eyes filled with tears. Rosie, we didn't mean it like this. I believed her. They didn't mean to hurt me, they meant to use me comfortably, which, in some ways, hurt more. I said quietly. Intent doesn't erase impact. That was the first moment anyone in that room looked truly ashamed. My stepfather finally spoke. What do you want us to do? Return the money, I repeated. He nodded slowly. We will arrange it. My mom looked at him in shock. How? He said, we'll sell the extra plot. Use savings. Figure it out. She looked like she wanted to argue. But she didn't, because for the first time, they understood, this wasn't going away. I wasn't going to forget. I wasn't going to feel guilty, and I wasn't going to back down. The meeting ended without hugs, without affection, without the usual, have tea before you go. They left quietly. One by one. My cousin stayed back for a moment. He looked at me and said, I didn't know it was this bad. I'm sorry. I nodded. I didn't know either. After everyone left, my apartment felt strangely peaceful, not because the problem was solved, but because the truth had finally been spoken out loud, and once truth enters a room, it changes everything. I sat on my couch and looked at the empty chairs they had occupied. I didn't feel happy. I didn't feel victorious. I felt free, because for the first time in my life, I had said something I should have said years ago. Enough, and I knew something they were only now beginning to understand. This was no longer about money. This was about rebuilding respect, and that would take much longer to repay. The house felt different after they left, not quieter, clearer, like a fog had lifted from a place I didn't even realize was blurry for years. I didn't rush to call anyone. I didn't message my cousin. I didn't open the document again. For the first time since this started, I allowed myself to sit in stillness without analyzing anything, but inside, something had shifted permanently. I was no longer waiting for them to understand. I was waiting to see what they would do. The next 3 days passed without any contact. No messages. No calls. No emotional speeches, just silence, and this silence felt heavier than all the shouting before. On the 4th day, my stepfather called. His voice sounded tired. We've arranged part of the money. I didn't react. How much? 10,000. I closed my eyes for a moment. Not out of relief. Out of observation. They were taking this seriously now. When will you transfer it? I asked. Today. And the rest? We're working on it. The plot buyer is negotiating. I nodded even though he couldn't see me. Okay. He hesitated. Then he said, "Rosie? Your mom hasn't been well. She's very stressed." I understood what he was trying to do, introduce emotion into a process that had finally become practical. "I hope she feels better," I said calmly. "This will help." He didn't push further. That evening, I received the transfer $10,000. I stared at the notification for a long time, not because of the amount, because of what it represented. For the first time in years, money was coming back instead of quietly leaving. I updated the Excel sheet. Received $10,000. Remaining $27,400. I didn't feel joy. I felt confirmation. This was real. This was happening. The next day, my sister messaged me. Her tone was very different now. "Rosie, can we talk?" I agreed to a call. Her voice sounded softer than I had ever heard it. "I didn't realize. I knew we used your card sometimes, but I never thought about how much it added up." I listened, she continued. "When I saw those screenshots, I felt embarrassed. Not because you sent the email. Because I saw my own messages." I said nothing. She took a deep breath. "I'm sorry." It was the first genuine apology I had heard from anyone, and it didn't come with justification. It didn't come with explanation. Just 2 words. "I'm sorry. Thank you." I said quietly. She said, "I've started checking my own expenses now. I think I've been careless with money because I always felt like there was a safety net." I understood what she meant. I was the safety net, not emotionally, financially. I never wanted to be that. I said, "I know," she replied. After the call ended, I sat there thinking about something important. They weren't bad people, they were comfortable people, comfortable using me, comfortable assuming, comfortable taking without checking, and I had allowed that comfort for years by never questioning anything. That realization didn't blame me, but it taught me something powerful. Silence teaches people how to treat you. 2 days later, another transfer came, $8,000. No message attached, just the money. I updated the sheet again. Remaining $19,400. That night, my mom called. Her voice sounded smaller, quieter. "Rosie." I hadn't heard her say my name like that in a long time. "Yes, Mom. I saw the money going back to you. Your stepfather told me." I waited, she said. I didn't know it had become this much. I believed her, because people rarely add numbers when they're not the ones paying. She continued, "I kept thinking you were fine. You never complained." I replied softly, "I didn't know either." She went silent for a moment, then she said something that stayed with me. "I think we stopped seeing you as a daughter and started seeing you as the responsible one. The one who can handle everything." I swallowed slowly. "That's not the same thing," I said. "I know," she replied. There were no tears. No drama. No emotional speeches, just 2 people finally speaking honestly. "I'm sorry," she said, and this time, I felt the weight of it, because it came without defense, without excuses, without turning it back on me. "Thank you, Mom," I said, after we hung up. I didn't feel emotional. I felt something else, closure beginning to form, not because the money was returning, but because the truth had finally settled in all of us. They had crossed a line, and I had finally drawn one. A week later, they transferred the remaining amount. In parts, different accounts, different days, until the Excel sheet showed remaining $0. I stared at that number for a long time. 3 years of unnoticed taking. 2 weeks of uncomfortable accountability, and now balance. But the most surprising thing was, I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't feel hurt. I felt educated, like I had learned something about people, about family, and about myself. That no one teaches you that love without boundaries turns into quiet exploitation, that kindness without limits turns into expectation, that silence can be mistaken for permission. A few days later, my cousin came to visit. We sat with tea, talking normally like nothing had happened. He said, "You know, everyone is more careful now. They check prices. They ask before using anyone's card. It's like you changed the whole system." I smiled faintly. "I didn't change it," I said. "I just stopped participating in it." He laughed. "Still, you did something no one expected." I knew what he meant. They never expected me to say enough, and maybe I didn't either. That night, as I prepared for my shift, I looked at myself in the mirror and realized something important. I didn't look like someone who had just fought with her family. I looked like someone who had finally understood her value, and that understanding felt stronger than any argument, any anger, any emotion, because now, even if this had never happened, I would never allow it to happen again. And I knew something they were only now realizing. They hadn't just returned my money, they had lost the version of me who never asked questions. After the last transfer came in, life didn't suddenly turn dramatic or emotional. It turned normal, and that normal felt unfamiliar. For the first few days, I kept opening my banking app without realizing it, as if my mind was still expecting to find something wrong. Some new charge, some new surprise. But there was nothing, just my balance, untouched, quiet, for the first time in years. My money felt like it belonged only to me. I didn't realize how heavy that invisible weight had been until it was gone. At work, I noticed something strange. I was lighter with my patience. More present. Less distracted. I wasn't carrying that background pressure anymore, that silent responsibility I never agreed to but always carried. One night, during a break, I found myself thinking about the past few weeks, not with anger, but with clarity. This whole situation had not started with $9.540. It had started years ago with small moments I ignored. Rosie, just for a minute. Rosie, I'll return it. Rosie, you don't mind, right? And every time, I had smiled and said, of course. Not because I was weak, because I believed. Being helpful made me a good daughter, but I never realized something important. Help is meaningful only when it is requested with respect, not taken with comfort. A few days later, my mom came to visit alone. No stepfather. No sister. Just her. She brought homemade food, like she used to when I first moved into this apartment years ago. We sat at the dining table quietly for a while, then she said, "This place feels different." I smiled. "It's the same." She shook her head. "No. You're different." I didn't argue. She looked around and said softly, "I keep thinking about that document you made. The way you listed everything. It made me realize how long this has been happening without us noticing." I nodded. She continued, "I always thought you were strong, independent, capable. I didn't realize we were leaning on you without asking if you were okay carrying the weight." Her words were slow, careful, honest. I should have noticed. She added. I looked at her and said something I hadn't said before. "I should have spoken earlier." She looked surprised. "You think this is your fault?" "No," I said gently. But my silence made it easy. We both understood something in that moment. Blame wasn't the point anymore. Awareness was. She stayed for tea. And for the first time in a long time, our conversation wasn't about family events, relatives, or responsibilities. It was about me. My work. My exhaustion. My routine things she had never really asked about beforehand. I realized something that made me emotional. In a quiet way, this was the first time she was seeing me as a person, not as the responsible one. Not as the reliable one. Just as Rosie. Weeks passed. Life returned to its rhythm, but something had permanently changed in the way my family behaved. They asked before assuming. They discussed money openly. They stopped treating me like the automatic solution to every problem, not because they were scared, but because they were aware, and awareness is more powerful than fear. One evening, my sister called me laughing. "You know what? I check every bill twice now. You traumatized me." I laughed with her. "Good," I said. "Now you know how I felt." She paused. "I really am sorry, Rosie." "I know," I replied, and I meant it, because apologies don't matter when spoken immediately in defense, they matter when spoken after understanding. One night, while driving back from a long shift, I thought about the version of me from a month ago, the Rosie who would never check, the Rosie who would never question, the Rosie who believed love means giving without limits. I felt grateful that version of me existed, because she was kind, but I was even more grateful that version had learned something. Kindness needs boundaries, love needs clarity, and respect needs to be visible, not assumed. I reached home, sat on my couch, and opened that Excel sheet one last time. I looked at the first entry, then the last, then I closed it, not because I wanted to forget, but because I didn't need it anymore. The lesson was already inside me. This whole story was never really about money. It was about something much deeper, about how easily people take from the one who never complains, about how dangerous it is to confuse generosity with obligation, about how important it is to say no before yes becomes expected, and most importantly, about how powerful it is to calmly, quietly, clearly say, enough. If you are listening to this and you see yourself in my story, I want you to understand something. You don't have to become loud to be respected, you don't have to fight to be heard, you just have to stop being silent, because the moment you start noticing, everything changes. My name is Rosie. I'm an ICU nurse, and I learned the hard way that sometimes the most important patients we need to take care of are ourselves. If this story made you think, if it felt familiar, or if it helped you in any way, don't forget to like this video, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to the channel for more real stories like this. Thank you for listening, and remember, respect starts the moment you decide you deserve it.